What's up, guys? Stacy here, and today, after reading some of your guys' messages, I wanted to go over the topic of why I became a personal trainer. But before I get into why I became a personal trainer, I kind of have to tell you my fitness journey. Reason being, nobody that's like 10 years old just goes, hey, I want to train people for a living. They don't know what that is. It's kind of an odd job. It's not like a cop, it's not like a firefighter or a teacher. Nobody really goes, I want to be a trainer. So we have to roll it back, we have to step back to high school. Growing up, I was an athlete. I was a football player for most of my childhood. And when I finally got to the high school level, we were doing two-a-days. I'm not sure if this was freshman year or sophomore year, but right after two-a-days were done on one of these years, I ended up tearing my hamstring. It was a partial tear. It wasn't completely done. I didn't need surgery, but I definitely couldn't finish the season. I, kind of had to take a break from it and take a break from most things in life because I was super active. I loved, as a kid, riding my bike, playing sports, obviously, and just doing things in general. Like, I love gym class, no puns, just because I'm a trainer. But after I got hurt, I ended up having to take a break from everything, and I noticed my mindset kind of changed. I feel like I was a different person. I didn't really like who I was. I didn't do much at all. After I ended up getting hurt the following year, I didn't re-sign for football. I didn't feel like it. I kind of stopped doing my homework. I slipped in school. And we finally got to graduation, and I just feel like I was a different person, and I just thought it was who I was. I wasn't really sure what was going on behind the scenes. But I ended up slipping into a slight depression. And that kind of went on for at least a year after high school. And as soon as I got out of high school, I ended up starting gaming. I was playing Black Ops 2. That's the one. I was playing that for like 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. And honestly, I got pretty dang good at it. So from getting good at it, I ended up making a gaming Twitter. I started live streaming. I started doing all these things that involved gaming because I wasn't doing, real life. And from all those social media accounts, I ended up talking to a girl. Now, guys, don't make fun of me. But I ended up talking to this girl on Twitter, and obviously, she's seen what I look like. I did live streaming, so I showed my face all the time. I had Twitter. I wasn't like one of those people who are like, I'm a logo and you can't see me. Like, I've never really been that person. But as you can imagine, from playing games 16 hours a day, that doesn't really leave a whole lot of time for eating. So I'd wake up in the morning, have a bowl of cornflakes, play games all through the afternoon. Didn't have a job, so I was living with my parents at the time. And I would just wait for dinner, whatever they made. I would have a little bit of, because wasn't really that hungry either. Because if you go a sustained period of time, your stomach's going to shrink if you're not used to eating a bunch of food. And after a year of doing this, I ended up weighing about 120 pounds at my current height, which is, 5'10", 5'11", depending on the day, depending on who's measuring me. And that's not very good. That's pretty skinny. And this girl was like, Stacy, really like your personality, this and that. But she said I was skinny, and that really hurt my feelings. Typically, I'm not the person to show emotion or really, show things offend me because, again, my name's Stacy. I grew up with the name Stacy, and it's kind of hard to hurt my feelings. And I didn't show it at the time, obviously, but that definitely stuck with me because I was like, man, I'm like 40 to 60 pounds underweight. That hurt. Like, telling somebody that they're thin isn't necessarily a compliment, guys. Especially if you're talking to another man. Wouldn't suggest it. Like, hey, if you're feeling like, hey man, you looking thin, that's probably not the thing to say. unless, they're trying to lose weight, in which case, by all means, use your best judgment. But anyways, that hurt my feelings. So what I started to do is I started to work out because I was like, I'm tired. I'm gonna start weighing more because I'm gonna start working out. And by working out, all I really did was go down in my basement and I hit push-ups, I hit curls, and I hit bench press on one of those sand weight bench presses. I don't know if you guys remember those. Everyone's parents had them. It was like a 100-pound bar, and you could do your bench press. It was kind of like a close grip, so that ended up making my triceps kind of good. But that's a story for another day. I did circuit training because I didn't know any better, and so I would do all those exercises in a circuit, and then I would go for a run to train my legs, which anybody that knows anything about fitness, running and cycling will not develop your legs. That's just a form of cardio. So I ended up, kind of getting leaner and being a little bit smaller after that. But one thing that I did take away from it, even though I wasn't really getting results, I wasn't getting bigger and stronger. I thought because I was working out, I'd build muscle and I would weigh more because, again, didn't know what the heck I was doing. All I know is I was doing something. I noticed after about a month of doing this, I was in, kind of like a lot of pain because my muscles had atrophied to the point where they were non-existent. And I noticed I started to feel good again, though. Like, basically, I started to feel like my old self again, like my 9th, 10th grade self, where I was super positive, I was motivated for life. I wanted to do life again, and I started to do that. And like with most things, just like gaming, I got pretty good at games, and I got pretty good at Call of Duty. It got to the point where I was, playing in tournaments, live streaming, obviously. People were watching me play. Not a lot of people, but some people. And I like progression and I like getting good at stuff. So along with working out, I was like, man, I'm not really getting results, but I really like to do this. So I started reading articles, I started watching YouTube videos. I started really just learning about the thing I was so interested in, which was building muscle and, getting a little bit bigger. So I found out, you got to eat more food. You got to do proper exercises. You have to train every body part equally. Not running. So anybody that makes fun of me for not doing cardio, still don't do it. Not worth your boy's time. So I started to learn more about it, and then I was like, man, I don't really have the equipment that I need at my house to continue to build muscle and make progress. But in about 6 months at my house, I ended up going from 120 pounds to 140 pounds. And by no means do I mean I look like a Greek god or something. I obviously was still a little bit skinny fat, but I had gained weight successfully, and that's from eating more of the things I was already eating. So 1 bowl of cornflakes to 2 bowls of cornflakes. Like, you're gonna gain weight, I promise. Everybody's always like, oh, you got a fast metabolism. That's not a real thing. It always makes me laugh when everybody's like, I can't gain weight. Have you ever tracked your food? No. Okay. But from there, I noticed I needed a gym membership and I need more food. I was still living with mom and dad. I wasn't producing income. I was like, man, I gotta get a job. I gotta get a job so I can get a gym membership and get some food. So I ended up working with my dad at Ventra Automotive, where we made parts for cars. A lot of you guys know that I have a Mustang now. I actually used to make that Mustang, well, a part of it, and paint it at the shop, which is kind of cool, but that's a side story. But when I got my job, I finally was able to join in Anytime Fitness in Cadillac, Michigan. Shout outs to Cadillac. And I started to make more gains, eat more food, because it was, it was a big boy job, and I was making real money finally. And I could kind of afford the supplements I wanted, afford the food I wanted, obviously a gym membership as well. And from there, I just kept making progress. But one thing I noticed about my life is I didn't really enjoy work. I would go to work and just kind of go through the motions. Some days it was 12-hour days, some days it was 8-hour days. I noticed the only real part about my day that I enjoyed was going to the gym. And then I was like, man, I wonder if I can kind of make this my day and not really go to work anymore. And I started to look more and more about it, and I kind of stumbled upon personal training. And I was like, man, I can help other people feel the way I feel. Because again, after I started being more active and I got back into, life really, I just started to feel so much better. Because I tell everybody, all my clients, I don't do this to look a type of way. I do this because it makes me feel good. So if I can make other people feel good, that's honestly the best thing in the world. But anyway, I made a 2-year plan. I said I'm going to work, I'm going to save up, and I'm going to look the part. Because honestly, when I was still brand new to this stuff, I didn't feel that confident yet because I'm a skinny dude. I don't like the way I look, so why would anybody want to work with me if I can't even produce the results myself? A lot of trainers don't follow that advice necessarily, but I definitely wanted to look the part before I could actually be the part. So I spent 2 years, continuing to make gains, learning more about fitness, and finally getting my certifications. And sure enough, after 2 years, quit my job at the factory, started at a small town gym called Pine Grove Athletic Club. My Cadillac fam knows what that is. And I was delivering pizza on the side. And that's kind of how my personal training story started, guys. Hope you enjoyed. That was a lot longer than I expected it to be. Thanks. And give us more suggestions for what we should do in the future.